Hello, everyone. Welcome to NMSU's Digital Twin Campus. My name is Andrew Cedillo. I am the Director of Microcredentials Instructional Design, and I have with me today...
Hi, my name is Tessa Kennedy. I'm helping with the collaboration of this particular microcredential course, and I typically work in NMSU Global in a different aspect, but I'm very happy to be here today to interview Cortney. And so great to see you both virtually. I'm Cortney Harding. I wear multiple hats, but today I'm chat about this XR and storytelling class that we're going to be launching soon.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here, and we're really excited to have Cortney here. Cortney, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I have been working in the VR space since 2016. I started doing business development and strategy for a VR production company, and then I founded my own VR agency in 2018. We've worked with a number of incredible clients, including Meta. We do a lot of different projects with Meta, worked with Accenture, PwC, Target, Walmart, Lowe's. We just shot a piece for the World Health Organization. So we've done a lot of really amazing pieces. We focus mostly on social impact, education, and training. And yeah, I also teach a bunch of different places, including this class it's about to launch. I do a lot of speaking. And I really love this technology. I believe so much in its transformative power, and I'm super excited to help more folks learn about it.
Well, thank you so much, Cortney, for sharing that. And we're really excited to partner with Cortney on the creation of an XR storytelling course. So, Cortney, can you tell us a little bit about the course?
Yeah, so the course is really meant to be start off in theory and then really get into practice. So, when I teach, I don't know that it's necessarily useful to just have something that's like very broad and big picture. So what I really wanted to do was help students walk through the creation of a VR piece sort of step by step. So the first part really focuses on like the big picture, the introduction, and then really getting into the nitty gritty of how do you create a storyboard? How do you write a script? How do you actually shoot the piece? Who do you need to have on set? Right? All of these things that you might not think about necessarily when you think about sort of storytelling. And we go into like storytelling best practices and principles. And then we also talk about how do you get your work out there? Because that's a huge issue in XR right now. I see so many people working on so many interesting things that then they kind of disappear, right? So I talk a lot about film festivals in this course and these different gatherings that people go to that are all amazing. And I see these wonderful XR stories that are so moving and profound and well done. And when I ask the people who created them, okay, where can I show this to somebody? They say, oh, it's just for this festival, or, oh, it's maybe we'll try to get it this place or that place. So it really goes deep into, how do you get your work out there? How do you tell your story in a meaningful way? And then we talk a lot about kind of the research behind this, why this works so well, right? For all these different education, training, storytelling, like what makes it so profound and moving. So yeah, it's a good, I think, introductory survey course. I don't know, I hope that people really enjoy it. I hope that people want to learn more and build more coming out of it. Cortney, why do you think this is important for storytellers and VR creators to know what's in your course? So this is going to be the medium of the future for storytelling. Like right now, we're in this very early stage, which is really exciting. But with all of the new headsets coming to market, particularly the Apple Vision Pro, the Meta Quest 3, certainly there will be a lot of others coming in the next 5 to 10 years. This is going to be the way that people tell stories. This is going to be the way that we interact with content, interact with digital content in particular, sort of interact with other humans as avatars. And so I think it's really important for people to understand what makes the storytelling medium different. Like there are certain stories you can tell in 2D that you can't really tell in VR, because like if you're telling stories that are really scary, really emotional, it's so much bigger and more profound in a headset because you are part of the story, right? And I think where we're at is this really interesting inflection point where a lot of what I see in VR is taking stuff that is 2D and just sort of moving it into 3D. And they're adding interaction and you're kind of adding some interesting things, but it's still kind of just building on what we have, right? Like, and I think where we want to go next, where I want to go next, and I think where people should start going next is what can we do that is unique to this medium? And really thinking about, and this is something Nani De La Pena and I talk about in her part of the class, is like, what's it going to look like when every story is told in 360, right? Like there's a universe in which Apple TV, those shows aren't just flat anymore. They are surrounding you. Somebody, and I wish I could remember who it was, but somebody has a great line called "Stories That Surround Us," and I'm shamelessly stealing it because I really like it, and I feel bad for not remembering the person's name, so I can credit them. But anyway, if this is something you created and you see this, please let me know and I'll give you credit. But I love the idea of like stories that surround you. It's not this like medium where it's sort of disintermediated, right? Like I read a lot of books, I watch some TV, I watch films, and there's always this kind of disconnect, right? Even for stuff that I love, you're not as part of it as you are in a VR story, whether that's because you're interacting with the content, whether that's just because you're surrounded by the content, whether that's because you are doing something to control the content, or you're just living in the world, right? I think one thing that's really interesting for me is talking about educational possibilities. I'll just use the example of like the Jane Austen novel, Mansfield Park, right? Like it's one thing to read Mansfield Park, and it's a wonderful book. I read it in college. And it's one thing to like write an essay about it, think about it, watch a movie about it. It's another thing to like hang out in that world, right? And it's not, I want to be really clear with some of this stuff. It's not necessarily about like role playing. It's not necessarily about like acting out a play or part of the book. It's really about like, what is the world? What was that world like that Jane Austen was writing about? What is the world of like the marriage plot, right? What is the world of, some sci-fi novel that people love? And just letting people sort of hang out and learn that way and process information that way, I think is going to be a really, really profound shift. And, I know a lot of educators, who are actual educators, not me coming in and adjuncting, but, they're all very worried about ChatGPT. And, students can have it write their essays, students can have it do their homework. And I understand that worry. I also think it's a little overblown at this point because a lot of what ChatGPT spits out is A, wrong, and B, gibberish. But that's going to get better. So, 5-10 years from now, that's going to be a lot better. So I think the whole point is not so much like, oh, we got to ban ChatGPT. It's like, how else can we teach students? So maybe it's not 500 words about the marriage plot in Jane Austen, just to keep going back to Jane Austen. It's more about like, can I build this world? Can I create this world? Can I analyze this world? How am I part of this world, right? How would I interact in this world? Because that's something you can't really prompt ChatGPT to answer. I work on a project called Who's Metaverse. I was just on a call with them, and I love what they do. They are teaching students from historically underserved communities how to build for the metaverse. And one thing they did that was profound and brilliant was they had students do projects about what they wanted to do for their future careers and build metaverse worlds around that, right? So it wasn't just writing an essay or a paper or, kind of thinking about that. It was really like, let's build what your life looks like. These are kids who are probably the first in their families to go to college, and they're building virtual versions of like, what's your dream dorm room? And that's, on one hand, that's kind of cool. They're learning technical skills, they're learning 3D modeling skills, they're learning all these like skills like that. But beyond sort of those learnable skills, they are really building out like a future vision. And I love the idea of that. I love the idea of doing sort of memory palaces. So I have this project I want to build when I have 5 minutes of spare time, which is rare, where I rebuild a version of my childhood mall, the mall I would go to when I grew up as a kid, in VR, and just be able to like walk around there. And I would rebuild it from memory, right? Because there's pictures of it online. I could go look at those. That would be fun, I guess. But like, I want to build my version of that, what I remember. And then I kind of want to share it with like my sister and other people I know from my hometown and compare like, what do they remember? How did they think it happened? Because I think there's something really powerful in kind of like examining your memories in that way and comparing it to other people's memories. And also it would just be fun to like go walk around the mall that I used to go to as a 13-year-old. Yes, and like, seriously. Yeah. So I mean, it's a little bit, off topic, but that's, what, if you take XR storytelling, maybe it'll inspire you to do something insane like that.
Yeah, I'm already thinking of How I Met Your Mother. You know that mall song?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Robin Sparkle.
There you go. That has to play while you walk around.
So, Courtney, we just wanted to know, what is the return on investment for completing the course?
Oh, fame and fortune, obviously. No, so I mean, look, it's funny. I was at this event for like higher ed providers and sort of people that do like digital stuff in higher ed. And somebody described the MIT artificial intelligence class as like a money printing machine, right? Because that's a skill set that's like so in demand right now. And, the XR market is still nascent. Like, I can't necessarily promise a student, you're going to complete this course and then Meta is going to hire you or Google is going to hire you necessarily. Like, that's not a thing I can promise right now. But I do think this is going to be a really fast growing, unfolding field, especially going into next year, going into 2024, as the new headsets hit the market, as people are investing. Like, there have been historically boom and bust cycles in VR, right? And I've ridden through at least like 2 or 3 of them. And, I do think the technology is getting to a point where it is just something that people use, right? It's not this kind of like super new thing used by it. Like, people understand the use cases for it. So it's really understanding like this is a growth market, this is a growth space, and making sure that students are prepared to like build, because I do think as the headsets roll out, as the market changes, where funding comes back, right? A lot of what happened in the 2010s was essentially enabled by the fact that money was basically free, right? The interest rate was 0%. Everyone could just go nuts. We're now in, the fall of 2023, people will watch this in the future, but like we're seeing signs that the interest rates are coming down again, which is great. So once VCs kind of loosen their wallets a little bit, once this period passes, then more people will be investing in this space. It'll be really exciting. And, I also want to point out that students who are interested in other technologies like AI, NFTs, blockchain, all that stuff, like these are all connected technologies, right? These are all things that fit together. They're not necessarily in competition. I mean, they might be right now in competition for investor dollars, but this will create a new suite of tools. So there's a lot of applications for like AI in virtual reality, in the metaverse. A lot of these worlds are built on blockchains. NFTs and digital goods, I mean, they had sort of a rise and a fall, but now they're starting to come back again in a more interesting way, where it's not like super speculative and everyone's like buying apes for $1 million and then losing their shirts. But it's where like you have these really tangible, interesting digital goods that people want to invest in. And so looking at like how do all of these things work together and sort of understanding like this is the next wave of computing, right? I think we're beyond questioning that. We are moving beyond the internet. We are moving beyond social media. Like right now, social media is just kind of an overwhelming place right now, given everything in the world. So how do we kind of pull back and make these interactions more human, right? This is not the type of conversation that we can really have on text. Could we have this conversation on Zoom, the 3 of us? Like, yeah, of course. Is it less interesting? Kind of. Yeah, I don't feel like I am present with people on Zoom because I'm doing other stuff. Right? I feel like I'm very present with the 2 of you right now. Like we could be sitting in a coffee shop in a, meeting area on this beautiful campus on the lawn. And, this will never replace human contact, right? Like that's not what the goal of this is either. But I think we're going to be so much more present, and I think that's going to unlock so many more opportunities.
Thank you so much, Cortney, for sharing all of that. So is there anything else that you want to share with us?
Sign up for the course. That would be the first thing, right? I have to do this. No, I mean, listen, like I'm super excited by this. That Education Tech Conference, I was on a panel and talking about VR, because that's kind of all I talk about, unfortunately. I love it, but every so often I'm like, can I just talk about cats or something? But I feel like I'll just talk about like, I don't know what I make for dinner. But after I got off stage, I went to this reception and I had a lot of people come up to me, and I don't pretend that it's about me necessarily. It's definitely about the technology. But the amount of people who were senior leaders, like university presidents, like it's like really high up people who all were like, we want to do this. We just don't know how. And so I think right now we're at this really cool point where people recognize the power of this technology. They're really excited about it. And now it's like, how do we get there? How do we build the next thing? And I think there's so much cool stuff happening, and so cool to see like New Mexico State. I'll shout out South Dakota State. I'll shout out Morehouse in Atlanta. Like they're really doing, you guys and those other schools are doing like the most amazing stuff, right? And it's so cool to see like really diverse, interesting populations of students creating and doing cool stuff. And like Andrew, you shared so many amazing case studies with me that I'm super excited about. And just like the excitement around it is so wonderful. And again, for someone who's been doing this for, since 2016, and it's felt like a slog at times, I just think like having these opportunities is just like so gratifying and thrilling. So yeah, definitely like sign up for the course. Reach out to me if you have questions about the course. I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, get a headset, get into this world, because this is going to be a big thing. So I'm super thrilled.
All right. Well, thank you, Courtney.